Lots of real drink on set?
Yeah, to my great astonishment, the very first day that we were filming, we were doing this extraordinary scene where Paul Raymond and my character Tony Power are telling Tamsin Edison's character what to do during a photo shoot, and the second assistant director came up to me and said, "Now, do you want a drink for the scene?" And I'd done a bit of research, and I knew that my character and in fact those characters, drank scotch and champagne the whole time. So I said, "Scotch, just a scotch." And in the world of film and television, that means something that looks like a scotch, right? So I was expecting. So she brought me a thing that I thought was a little, half an inch of apple juice. Michael, the director, called action, and I drank a bit of it. And it was scotch, and from that point on, whenever a drink was called for, it was a real drink. Well, there's a Debbie Raymond, the daughter of Paul Raymond, has a wedding in the film. The day we filmed the wedding was the best wedding I've ever been to in my life, because it was no family politics, because it's just a bunch of actors getting incredibly drunk all day on champagne. And it's a low budget movie, but I think most of it went down Threshers.
There's a lot of alcoholics walking out the end.
It was a very drunk movie. James Lance, who plays Carl Snitcher, the lawyer, said to me, "Do you know?" He said, "So I come home at the end of the day and I feel like I've been out. I feel like I've been clubbing all night."
Beyond the alcohol, sort of the character, the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, no one really knows what to make Paul Raymond the person. So is it quite kind of tricky to get your head around where you're meant to come at it from? I guess you just look at your character.
Well, Paul Raymond. He's relatively well documented. There's a really good book by Paul Willits that we've based the film on, and he was such a well-known figure, and his kind of journey is very well documented, because he was essentially the man pushing the boundaries, pushing the envelope for years and years, from the opening of the review bar, which was just a way of getting around the Lord Chamberlain's regulations, so he could make women who were in the nude move around rather than having to stand still. All the way through the magazines that he published, he was pushing the envelope all the time, and I think you just need to see what would a person who's doing that, who's not doing it through reasons of mischief or libertarian principle, but for money, what would they be like? But then those are questions you should ask Steve, because he's Paul, and, he had to answer those.
He's had to do all of that, and from your own point of view, your own character, how much do you take from reality?
Well, Tony, it's really difficult, because Tony Power is quite he's a really influential figure, but he's quite a mysterious figure, because nobody really knows that much about him. If you talk to people in the old Raymond organisation from back in the day, they'll tell you stories about him. But the thing about Tony that we needed him to be really was just, for me, he needed to be, because he's the man who introduced porn to Paul Raymond, right? And he's also the man who introduced drugs to the Raymond family, which led ultimately to the death of Debbie Raymond, Paul's daughter. So he's the man who kind of blows their world apart in some respects, ultimately. So either you've got to play him as kind of cloak and dagger evil, that kind of, which is ridiculous. No one's actually like that. He just had to be kind of hedonistic and happy-go-lucky, and that, he didn't really realise that the consequences of his actions were death and destruction. So for Tony, I just sort of played him as a kind of giddy loon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice day at the office.
So very close to me.
Got drunk and played yourself.
Yeah, got drunk and played myself.
I hate your job.
It's awful, isn't it? I don't really know. Sometimes I have to remind myself how I got here, otherwise I'd hate myself too.